This is the Isle of Palms podcast, produced by Island Vibes, the Isle of Palms upscale monthly publication. The Isle of Palms podcast is all about the people, places, and events that make this island a slice of paradise.
I got to tell you all, I'm excited to have this special podcast, Isle of Palms podcast, because with us here, we have Rusty Streetman. And Rusty, I appreciate you taking time to be with us, man.
Well, Bill, I appreciate you asking me to join the podcast today. Certainly happy to do that. Excited about it.
Well, you know, with the national elections right around the corner, because Elizabeth Campsen is not there anymore, this is a special election. Can you ever remember when this ever happened at the Isle of Palms?
Bill, I don't remember this ever happening. It probably has in the past, but since I've been involved in council over the past 4 years or so, and I can remember runoffs, but not a special election because someone resigned.
My first question has to be, why are you running again? What inspired you to help the town again?
I served a term from 2020 to 2023. I served a 4-year term. Unfortunately, in the last election in the fall, I did lose the election by 30 votes or so. But then when we had the resignation, I was thinking to myself, I want to get back in this because there's a lot of business that we started and a lot of projects that we completed while I was on council. And there's many more to go. And there are some that are in progress that I want to see through to the finish line.
How many years have you lived on the island, Rusty?
40 years.
Wow.
Moved here in 1984.
The drainage out there is really not really good. Is that one of your priorities?
Bill, that's my top priority, as a matter of fact.
Really?
We've done a lot on drainage. I was chair of the Real Property Committee and also I was on Public Works Committee when we started work on the drainage projects. And we just completed the Drainage 3 project, which are the outfalls that go out to the intercoastal waterway, which prevents the tide water from coming back inland. We completed those 3 and had the ribbon cutting a while back, and they've been very successful so far. Our next step is the Drainage 4 improvements, which helps get the stormwater off Palm Boulevard, particularly on the area near 40th Avenue where it floods a lot. And then we also have a lot of small projects that need to be done on drainage, cleaning the ditches out here because this is such a low-lying barrier island. We have ditches that have been there for years. They're antiquated. They're filled in with silt, that sort of thing. And those need to be cleaned thoroughly so that water can flow freely and get out to the intercoastal waterway and off of our streets. And that's, I think, the most important priority that we could do.
With the technology the way it is nowadays and everything, cleaning out ditches seems to be archaic a little bit, but yet very simple. I mean, it must be an important element to the drainage, is it not?
Yeah, well, it's the ditches have been here since J.C. Long developed the island, basically, and they're old. But, I mean, they're necessary. We have to have them, and they have to be cleaned frequently, or else they will silt in, back up, and the drains will get clogged because sometimes you have palm fronds that get down in the pipes. And palm fronds don't go away easily.
What would your second priority be?
Beach renourishment is certainly a priority for us because right now we have 2 hot spots on the island. One up near Wild Dunes and the other one down near Breach Inlet. Hot erosion spots, I should say. And we're dealing with that, particularly down near Breach Inlet right now. We do have an Army Corps of Engineer beach replenishment plan that's coming our way. It's called beneficial use. They will put 500,000 cubic yards of sand on the beach.
Did you put that in place? Were you part of town council when you all put that in place?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers actually was supposed to start this project late last year, and it's been put off some. So I'm not happy that that's been put off. But, you have to do it at their pace. So hopefully we'll have that started pretty soon, and that should help us down on that Breach Inlet side. But I think going forward, what we need to do for beach renourishment is to have a very strong plan in place on the island, to generate the revenue we need, to replenish the beaches as needed. And also, even more importantly, is we need to have some state help. We don't have a lot of help right now from the state of South Carolina for beach renourishment funds. And we really need to lobby very heavily, all the beach communities do, to get dollars from Columbia, South Carolina down here so we can help us re-nourish our beaches.
Did you ever go up to the Capitol to politic for Isle of Palms?
Well, I didn't go up there personally to politic, but I went to the Capitol a number of times, and I also attended all the Municipal Association of South Carolina meetings, graduated all their programs. I met with our lobbyists in the past. Of course, I met with all of our politicians. I'm a very close friend and confidant of Joe Bustos, who does a lot for us here on the Isle of Palms.
Joe's a good guy.
Yep. Chip Campsen's our state senator. And of course, he's an island resident also. So it's, you try to stay close to the politicians and certainly the lobbyists that are working for us in Columbia. We're hoping they can make some progress too.
If you read this newspaper, you'll know everything that's going on IOP.
Island Vibes is awesome, and I love that it's a different perspective on the island, and the quality of the paper is super. Thank you.
And positive. Thank you very much.
Island Vibes is a deal.
So, Rusty, when you think of the big picture on the Isle of Palms and you think of the beach, I mean, beach is about tourism and stuff. Is there any way the island can get some A-tax money to help with the beach nourishment?
Well, we do have some dollars available to us through A-tax, and it's, particularly where, for flooding issues and things like that affect tourism in a negative way. We can use some A-tax dollars to help offset some of that. We also can have some grants available to us that we can go after, that we can possibly get. But really, to really have the dollars that we need to improve the beaches, and in some of the drainage projects, we need to have more state help also.
Rusty, as you probably know, my son has a traumatic brain injury, and he's doing well. He's doing really well. But handicap is an important element in our family and close to our hearts. I was excited to see that the city had opened up a access lane that was handicap friendly. Do you see plans for that in the future?
I do. We've got 2 more planned in the upcoming year or so. We get some grants on that too to help us out. But I was also chair of the Real Property Committee when we put the fully accessible ADA compliant 34A beach path in place. Real proud of that project.
Did you lead that charge?
Well, I was part of the committee and part of the council that did that. No one does anything. No one does anything unilaterally. We have 9 people on council, including the mayor, and it really takes a team to do it. And but I was chair of the committee that led the charge for 34A beach path.
When you look at the big picture of the Isle of Palms, I do hear, as publisher of Island Vibes, I often hear what's kind of going on. Is there going to be a new city hall, or is it going to be remodeled, or what is that all about?
Well, they're just now in the discussion phase. It's been discussed in the committee setting so far, and that's the Public Services and Facilities Committee. This next month, in the full council workshop, I think that's on October the 8th, will be the first time that all of the council looks at the different options that are being proposed. Right now, there are 4 different options that are being considered for replacement of the city hall. And there's also an option in place that we could renovate the current city hall. The replacement options, just early on looking at it as a resident and looking at the plans online and watching the meetings and attending the meetings, they're very expensive. The replacement options are. We're looking at $10 million plus.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
Sounds like that's the money that should go towards beach nourishment.
Well, yeah, that would be sort of my argument that we ought to look at that. And typically, when we have a high-ticket item like that, historically on this island, we've had a referendum. My recommendation is that we would have plenty of community meetings, get the residents involved, get their feedback as to whether they want a replacement city hall or not.
I don't live there.
Yeah.
I certainly love the island. But I think you're right.
What I'm recommending is that council, take another look at the renovation of the existing city hall. It really needs some work. There's no doubt about that. But we could probably renovate that city hall that we're currently in for somewhere around $1 million, which is certainly more affordable than $10 million plus. So I'd like for them to take a look at that first. Again, this is very, very early in the stages here. Full council takes their first look at it next month at the workshop.
I don't think anybody would argue with you. There's a big difference between 10 million and 1 million. So, or even if it took more than
you'd be surprised. There are some that would argue with me about that, and rightfully so. Everybody has their opinion. I just think it's prudent for us, if we're looking at finances on this island, knowing that we have drainage, that we have beach renourishment, high ticket items like that are in the lineup, that we really ought to be looking at spending our dollars on that kind of stuff, infrastructure wise, versus replacing a city hall.
I hear people talking about underground power lines. What's that all about?
Again, a very expensive venture. That's one of those things that we would share costs with Dominion Energy. And right now we do have a program that we've been doing for a number of years with Dominion Energy, where we are undergrounding some of the power lines in areas where it's really needed badly. 21st Avenue, we've got the overhead power lines down. 14th Avenue, we've done some work there. We've got a project that will be going on 41st Avenue to get that underground, but it's all piecemeal, and what we need to do is we need to work more closely with Dominion Energy and maybe look at some ways that we can generate more dollars revenue-wise from the city standpoint that we can apply to that. And maybe that's coming out of ATAX dollars in some way, but we have to be creative in how we try to build some funds to help us pay our share of the cost for undergrounding more power lines.
I've always felt that that Isle of Palms has done a good job managing the money. And the reason that I say that is the property taxes in the Isle of Palms is noticeably lower than many other islands along the coast. And it's because how you guys manage the money. Do you concur with that, or is that not the case?
No, that is the case. I concur with that fully. And it's really a combination of things. And number one, we do budget very conservatively, and we watch the dollars closely. So we as a council have done historically a very good job with that. The other thing is that we have a good balance of short-term rental properties that help generate a lot of revenue for us. We have Wild Dunes Resort, which is really an economic engine that, provides a lot of our finances on this island. A large part of our budget, comes from what Wild Dunes generates. And along with that, we have a good balance. Short-term rentals are about a third of the homes that we have. Primary property owners are about a third, and then second homeowners, which are 6% tax rates also, are about a third. So, we're able to generate a lot of revenue through short-term rentals and second homes, but also we're able to, with good government, watch our costs and make sure that we stay within the budget.
You talk about the property 6%, and then they're saying, but they bring so much to the island where they eat, there's so many things they do that bring so much economics to the island.
Absolutely. It's quite honestly, we couldn't do without it unless we wanted to have huge tax increases. We could be, Sullivan's Island, let's admit it, they don't have short-term rentals over there.
Right.
And their taxes are very high over there. But they chose to do that. So, that's the way Sullivan Island operates. Isle of Palms is a residential island, but we also have amenities like the Wild Dunes Resort, and we have a good balance of short-term rentals. We had the short-term rental cap question on a referendum last fall, and that got defeated because people realized that we were not out of balance on short-term rentals, that we were in a good place, and they didn't want to see their taxes increase, and they also want to protect their property rights.
In the latest issue of Island Vibes, it should be in everybody's mailbox by Saturday, I think. But certainly I'm going to bring some down to the Harris Teeter on the island. But I had to share this with you. We interviewed somebody from Greenville, Spartanburg, actually, because we've started a new column in the magazine where we've interviewed people that visit the island on a regular basis and are vacationing there. And I asked her in one of my questions was, what do you like most about the island? You're not going to believe what she said, Rusty. She said, I love how polite and courteous the local residents are. Of all the things on the island, of the beach, of the restaurants, she liked the fact that the residents really extended themselves to the tourists. Isn't that cool?
That's really cool, and we hear that a lot. And I think that most of us that live the great majority of us who live on this island feel that way. We welcome the people that visit us, whether they're here for the week or whether they're here for the day. We just ask that if you come here treat it like it's your own home.
Right.
Treat the beach like it's your own yard. Take out what you bring in, that sort of thing. Just clean up behind yourself. And most people do.
Drives it home when somebody says that.
Exactly.
So it's in the latest issue, the October edition of Island Vibes. Rusty, it's been a pleasure having you on here, sir, and I wish you the luck with your campaign. Is the campaign going well?
Campaign's going really good, and I'm looking forward to getting reelected to the council, and I want to make sure that we have a very collaborative approach on city council, and I feel like I can really be a part of that. And hey, one last thing.
Yes, sir. I like that, dude. That's right. Pretty good. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Rusty, thanks for your time, okay, man?
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody, for listening to or watching the Isle of Palms podcast. Appreciate you. And don't forget to read Island Vibes.
Thank you for listening or watching the Isle of Palms podcast, produced by Island Vibes, the Isle of Palms upscale monthly publication. Find past and current episodes by visiting isleofpalmspodcast.com.